consistent throughout this season. For me, Oriol Romeu has been a real surprise. He's grown immensely. The key player is going to be Tadic. When you see Tadic in St Mary's, in Southampton, if that player is at his best, this team creates a lot. Yeah. It's almost that he gives a space to Nathan Redmond, all this within Gabbiadini. He's got space. If you can stop Tadic, almost this team becomes a little bit predictable. So I would keep an eye on how Tadic can express himself.
8 changes, sorry Rob, for the team that won at Middlesbrough, Michael. Gabbiadini, what have you made of him? Like him?
I do like him. I don't often see centre forwards that you would call real goal scorers nowadays. The runs that he makes, he loves getting across his front man, the near post defender from crosses. He's always instinctive and in the area. He knows where the ball's going to drop. I think he's a real goal scorer. And in a team that has a lot of possession, gets the ball into the box a lot of the time, I think he'd score a hatful of goals.
Interesting. Let's see. Right, let's get back to St Mary's right now. Let's get pre-match thoughts of Axel Twanzebe. He's with Patrick Davison.
Axel, you're on a run of games. How are you finding it? How big a moment is this in your career, getting these opportunities to be a full senior Man United player?
Yeah, it's great. You know, when the manager shows so much faith in you as a young talent, it's always, you know, a good thing. And to end the season on kind of achieving goals is kind of the big thing for me right now. I'm playing as many minutes as I can to improve myself, to become a better player is kind of the main goal right now.
We've seen you in a couple of different positions against Arsenal and Tottenham, full-back and midfield. What suits you better? I know you're probably delighted to play either, but...
Yeah, just like you said, wherever the manager puts you, you kind of play when you're a young player because you're just looking for the opportunity to play. Again, if he wants me to do a job in a different position tonight, I'm willing to do it, but the main focus is, again, just getting minutes under my belt.
And are you thinking there might still be a little sniff of a cup final place?
Who knows, who knows. Always keep my hopes up and train hard to keep Sharman under the manager's eye, and maybe, you know, he could put me in.
He seems a level-headed young man. Let's hope he plays well. He's flexible, Roberto, as well. He can play as a full-back, play in the middle of the park, so that's always good to have. But it was always the United way for so long to introduce these younger players, and we're not seeing that many being given the opportunity. The likes of Fosu Mensah, we've seen him, one or two others, this young man, but not that many are there that are seemingly able to find a way into that team.
It's difficult. It's difficult because I always been very critical that, we are the ones to blame. I don't think from the age of 19 to 21, 22, we prepare, or the games program prepare these youngsters well enough to come into the first team. Then what happens? That you need time in order to see these players winning games in a consistent basis. I don't think now you've got that time. The reality is that the managers, they haven't got the time to give a young player 100 games and see what happens. I think Rashford this season has been a revelation because he's starting to accumulate games, and it's not a big science. As a young player, I think Twanzebe is great to see him so calm, the way he talks, is the way he made his debut. There are players that they've got the mentality, but it's very, very difficult to see how he's going to get the next 50 games at Manchester United.
Michael, you obviously saw Sir Alex, the way he encouraged youngsters, the way he was always prepared to blood them, give them opportunities. Jose's a different animal to that, isn't he?
Yeah, Jose tends to prefer senior players, experienced players, players that he can trust, and not so much youngsters. That's probably been a criticism levelled towards him throughout his career. At Chelsea, they had an amazing crop of young kids, and he didn't blood too many of them to be consistent performers, and would probably only give them a chance when there's nothing to play for, a little bit like tonight in terms of Manchester United. So it's great to see kids coming through the academy. Manchester United going through a bit of an overhaul at the moment in their academy because they don't believe they've got the quality in it that they've had in previous generations, but it's always nice to see one or two pop their heads through.
Certainly is, yep. Jose Mourinho tonight does give a chance to young Axel Twanzebe, and we'll hear from the United boss after the break, who's cut a bit of a frustrated figure of late. United players being put through their paces, making sure they're ready, they're prepared, fit and able to grab 3 points this evening at the St Mary's Stadium in Southampton. Interesting lineup, one or two opportunities for players to maybe stake a claim for a place next Wednesday in that Europa League final. Let's hear from the United boss right now.
Jose, for you, obviously there's a bigger picture. So what factors have you taken into consideration when picking your team?
I need to pick a team with some balance, I have to try to give rest to some, and I have to try to give some minutes to others. It's more of the same. We have 2 more matches to play before the final, and this is what we are doing.
Can tonight be part of your preparations for next week?
No, not really. I would prefer to be working and training and preparing, but we can't do that. We have 2 matches to play, and I repeat, I would like to make more changes. I would like to give more rest, but we feel a responsibility at least to do what we did against Arsenal and against Tottenham, which was to compete for the result until the final. So we are going to do that again tonight, and the last match against Crystal Palace 2 days before the final, for me unacceptable, especially because we are 6th and never 5th, never 7th, and Crystal Palace is not going to be relegated too, so it's a game that means nothing for the table at all, means nothing for us, means nothing for Palace, means nothing for all the other 18 clubs. So on Sunday, our picture will be different than tonight.
For the players, though, tonight, are there 1 or 2 with opportunities to impress and earn a place in the cup final team?
Of course, yes. That's what they are doing in the last matches. The people that is having opportunities, and of course, is important. And a simple example: if Bailly is not playing the final, who plays the final? Smalling or Jones? Is these kind of questions that I have to answer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know, when I hear Jose speaking and I'm thinking, I'm a player in that dressing room right now, I'm sure he's in there revving everybody up and getting them prepared and making sure that they're up and ready to go. But we've seen that kind of demeanour a lot lately, where it's an effort, even being, it's almost an effort, very, very rare for Manchester United, that. But these next 2, Michael, I'm sure, or sorry, this one, home goals, only 24, ranked 16th in the table for home goals at Old Trafford. It's incredible.
It is. It's a shocking statistic, I feel. I followed Manchester United all the way around Europe this season. I've been covering all their Europa League games. They don't play with much width. Jose Mourinho is naturally a defensive-minded coach. When you think they're 24 in 18 games so far, 20, that's relegation type of, you would expect. You think back at the Manchester United teams, when you go to Old Trafford, there's people pace out wide. They scored 24 goals in 3 or 4 games back in the day, and now they're struggling down 16th in the league. Yeah. And that's one of the problems. Because they don't score enough goals, they draw so many games, they always seem to be hanging on at the end of the game. They can't put a game to bed because they don't attack with enough width, enough pace. And scoring goals is the biggest problem that Jose Mourinho's got.
And then just these last 2 at the bottom here, Roberto, are they significant or not? The times they've actually outrun the opposition. Only 4 times this season have they covered more distance than their opponent. And again, when I think back of United, I think how good they were, how significant they've always been. If they're winning games and they're ticking all these boxes, then this one will be right up there too.
I don't think you can just focus on a stat, and obviously it's about winning the game. But I think it's a little bit significant to be bottom, to be the 20th in the league.
In the league.
For a Manchester United side, is quite damning in that respect. And still, it goes a little bit about, I think Jose Mourinho is still in a process. He's trying to get, the mentality is right. I think to go through that period that they had unbeaten is just because the mentality is becoming of a winning team. But I don't think he's satisfied yet with the way that the team is performing. That would be a very significant start. You wouldn't expect a team like Manchester United to be the last team in the Premier League in terms of the distance average.
Interesting, of course, the main boxes that Jose Mourinho wants to tick is winning trophies. We know that. He has one in his back pocket already. He might well have another one. Right, coming up after the break, we'll assess what Southampton will be up to this evening. Is another manager that's under pressure after what I think has been a very, very reasonable and respectable. Southampton players getting ready for what should be a difficult evening for them. 2 home games left for the Saints, and they've not had the best of it this season on their own patch. So they'd like to put that right before this season is over and done with. OK, let's hear from Claude Puel. He's with Patrick Davis.
Claude, a home win over Manchester United, if you could do it, just how significant would it be?
Oh, it's just a game for us. It's an opportunity to show our qualities and just this. And the last win against Middlesbrough allow us a good opportunity to go up on the table. And this is very important for us to finish strong with the two last game at home. In front of our fans. It's a good thing. It's important now to give a good answer on the pitch.
Is the type of performance you give tonight and the style you play with really important as well?
Of course, it's important, but it's important just for us, just for the fun, because I think it was a good season with quality on the pitch, with final and cup, and now it's important to finish well and strong this season. And it's an opportunity, I say, that to finish. I hope more up on the table, and this is very important. We keep always a professional attitude, and this it's a good thing.
Always approaches it, Roberto, in a very dignified manner. Claude Puel always speaks, I think, very honestly, humbly. But it must be very difficult for him when he keeps hearing all the speculation. What's that like as a manager? You've been in that scenario when people are speculating about your job and it starts to grow and starts to intensify. How difficult is that?
I think it goes down to the person that it matters, which is the owner. You're concentrating on your job and what you do and the potential and the long-term vision. I cannot believe that there is that sort of question around him. I think he's done more than a good job. It's been an outstanding job. You're talking about getting very close to winning silverware, creating memories, because in football that's what you want as a fan. You go to Wembley, you were a better team on the day than Manchester United. OK, you couldn't win it. And then they are 8th in the table. They've never been in any trouble. And when you go find domestic competitions, it's going to cost you between 10 and 15 points. There's no two ways about it. But he's been brave. He's been very flexible tactically. He's a joy to watch this Southampton side. They always want to win. Yeah. I don't believe that his position should be in question. No.
We'll see what happens this evening. Just talk me through the team, Roberto. What do you think, the way they've set up?
Well, I think Foster and the back four is clear. Suarez and Target will go forward. I just think that they've been flexible with their position. Sometimes Oriol Romeo protects the midfielders.
Don't worry, that's it. Tap him again. Yeah. That's it.
And what is significant is Gabbiadini and Redmond probably early on in the season, he preferred his diamond system that he played in France, and that's where Tadic really becomes a difficult player to stop from the opponent point of view. That back seven, really solid, very energetic. Romeo, Davies, and Ward-Prowse, technical players that they can cope with the physicality of the game. I just think those three, that front three, will be key today in order to be able to create enough against this well-organised defensive side of Manchester United.
When they get it right, Michael, they're a decent side, aren't they? Well, they are. I think when they make sure that they're nice and solid, and this is a bit of a change in here now compared to what was in, but when they get it right, they're useful.
They are, and they've got one or two players missing tonight. Obviously, Van Dijk and Bertrand, who we think are two of their better players. You look at that team nowadays, and on paper, even though they're a good, solid team, they haven't got the flashy players that they've had over the past years that they've sold on. I do like this lad from set pieces, this Ward-Prowse. I think he's probably one of the best set piece takers in the country. Unbelievable delivery from corners, from free kicks. And they're a tough team to break down.
They certainly are. We'll see how Southampton fare tonight. Of course, an opportunity for them with 2 home games left to put 6 more points on their board. That will be a decent season for Claude Puel and his players. But for United, their focus on tonight, the weekend and next Wednesday.